Okay, we are live. So I'm just gonna. It might come up on YouTube, but I guess we can just start. I guess. Hope it doesn't lose any. I hope it doesn't lose all the footage because sometimes it loves to cut out. Okay, we're live. We're in here right now. Okay, um so where to begin? Um so um so Jonathan, how I have just a question. How did you get interested in history first? I think that would be a good start.
Yeah, I've been interested in history for about 12 years now.
Wow.
History and academics has run in my family, and it was a way me and my dad were able to talk about something.
Right.
Yeah.
And you said your dad's a historian too, because I remember watching a stream of yours and with I forgot the channel that you were with. He talks more about 18th century warfare and combat.
Yes, Field Marshal is
Field
a
marshal.
friend of mine. Yeah, my dad isn't a historian, but he is very interested in history. And his father is also very interested in history and not a historian. It's like the
Oh, okay.
majority of family is just a bunch of people who are really interested in history and never want to go into it as a profession.
Right. Right. And so they just right. I mean, that's like pretty much. I mean, how I got into it is my family wasn't really interested, but my grandfather he kind of was, because he was I lived with my grandfather, you see, and he kind of was. He was a World War II vet. Well, he didn't really fought in the war, but he was um, he was really in base most of the time because you see my grandfather's pictures, and he was a great photographer. That's why they kept him there. And he used to tell me stories around there, and not just that, but like more about the interwar periods of how he was a kid, during the Great Depression. So that kind of really got me interested in history. And then when my teacher showed a book about World War I, you know what I mean? Remember those book reports that we had to do? Um,
Yeah.
yeah, those book reports we had to do. Like we had to read a book, then we have to, then we have to write to what the book's about and stuff like that. I read the book about World War I. It was very interesting. I read that book, man, like at least 5 times already, 5, 6 times. I loved it so much. It was nice to. It was interesting to hear, um, you know, about the war, how the war was, and fought on the Western Front in the trenches, and the Eastern Front with the Russians. How that part had more movement compared to the Western Front. So it was very interesting for me, and that's how I pretty much got interested into history. Just a little bit of history myself, so you can get to know me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, so what made you start the channel? That's also a good question.
Yes. Well, when I first created the channel, it wasn't supposed to be about the Civil War at all. My first videos were on Jews in the Soviet Union. And really, I was bored. It was COVID, and I wanted to not go insane. So I've
Right,
always fancied myself a teacher without any experience in the field. So I thought, hey, I'll just make a channel, make some videos, and share them around with friends. And, well, I'm still doing it, I guess.
right. Because you almost got like 1,000 subscribers. I just recently saw. So congrats on that.
Thanks.
So that's pretty amazing. That's like same thing with me. I mean, my I saw a bunch of history channels. With Indian Idol. I've watched a lot of I watched a lot of other, like, the armchair historian, and I'm like, I want to be like them. You know what I mean? I'm like, I have the reason why I made this channel is I pretty much had the same reason. You know what I mean? I want to teach, but without like any degree or any type of type of field. So that's the reason I want to do it. You know what I mean? So all right.
Yeah, we could be the fun teachers. No homework for anyone.
Exactly. You guys get no homework. We get no homework.
Yeah.
Okay. Chase says hi. I'm gonna announce it too. So I'm gonna announce. I should have announced it before when I for when I came actually. So let me just announce that I'm doing a stream, so more people would have questions, about your channel and stuff like that. So I don't run out of questions, and we keep this whole thing short. You know what I mean? So because Greg says he's gonna come on later, so he says it's gonna be a little bit late here. Just like the other interview that I had with, I'm not sure if you've seen that. With my very first interview was by a woman named that you know um, that oh, man, I'm trying to lose con. I don't have the sharpest memory on here, so I'm trying to lose con. Oh, Sarah. I'm not sure if you've seen it. She collects old photos, and then she goes to ancestry.com and she talks about the story behind those photos, and that was pretty amazing, and that was my first interview. So there it
Yeah,
is. There's Greg.
it
I
does
haven't
sound
completely screwed
amazing.
out the stream. I'm here if you guys are on. Yeah. So Greg is in the chat, so he would be asking more questions here. But let me just shout it out, and then so people can have more questions about, because your channel is pretty interesting, man. I like to hear every day, every week movements of the Civil War. Even though I'm not really I think I should work on my Civil War history. To be honest, because I'm not really, huge into it. I didn't really look into it more often. I was more of a World War II guy than a Civil War guy, but I wanted like to learn something very different. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Compared to, because that's how I got in history in the first place. My grandfather was talking about World War II. We used to watch a lot of World War II documentaries together, and I started really got into more of that. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So I didn't really look into like the Civil War or any past event. I mean, I did made a video besides World War II and something else. Like I said, my last history video that I made was about the I'm not sure if you watched it, but it was about the Iranian Revolution.
yeah,
Yeah, I did that, and that was something new because I wanted to learn about why Iran is the way it is today, and stuff like that, because that's the importance of history. You know what I mean? Because we got to learn how our world works today. First of all, we got to understand the past before how the world works today. So that's pretty much what it was. And then I learned about the typing. I learned about the typing. I made a video about that, the typing rebellion. It was about the how these Chinese Christians thought that the Qing government was the devil, and they just wanted to overthrow them. And a lot of people don't know that it was the death toll was a little bit higher than the First World War on the Taiping Rebellion. So that's a little fact if you guys don't know. So hold on, let me just shout this thing out in the announcements, and everybody everyone was going to ask some questions. So live streaming. And the thing is, my first interview was it was about Mae West's personal assistant. I'm a big fan of Mae West. Hence my poster right there. I'm not sure if you could see it well, but I was supposed to talk to her personal assistant, but she hasn't. I mean, he hasn't really came into the stream. I lost contact with him since then. So that was really a sad loss. So you're my second person that I'll be interviewing today. But hold on,
yeah. I'm just going to answer Porter. Yes, I have talked about Ford in the Civil War. Interesting to note is this war was everywhere in America. We usually think of like Gettysburg, Antietam,
right,
South Pennsylvania, and Virginia, but this war was devastating. This war is impactful, and it's impactful everywhere. I've already talked about sieges of forts in Florida, which were actually commanded by Robert E. Lee during this time, and how he kind of messed up early over there before he gained a lot of fame over there. But I mean, the Civil War is not just connected to us through the controversies and its lingering effects, its scars are felt everywhere with the destruction of communities, destruction of families. And it's really what I think has both propelled and hindered America, our ability to move forward from it, but still be tied to its effects.
Yeah, I mean, the Civil War was a huge impact in America too. So we gotta, you know, think about that. You know, of how, like I said, that's what's amazing about your channel. You know what I mean? And you know, of how, you know, some of these battles that most of you talk about are kind of forgotten and just not really talked about, even though it takes a huge impact. And that's just sad. They're rarely mentioned in most history channels. See, that's what's cool about the history channel. Our history channels is that on YouTube is that we don't really talk about stuff that a lot of history teachers don't really talk about. You know, so that's what's cool about it. Chase says that C. Porter Chase. He says that I lived in Tampa Bay area, so I've always heard about the infamous Battle of Tampa. So I'm sure you're familiar with that, right?
Vaguely familiar. I'm actually gonna have to come clean here. I'm not actually an expert on the Civil War. I know stuff about it, but there's definitely people I've talked to and worked with who I could just say, "Oh, I'm currently around this area, like just on a vacation to see some friends," and they're like, "Oh, you should visit blank. There was this minor engagement there," and I'm blown away by it. I very much rely on books or books. I just copy and paste from Wikipedia, obviously, like a normal story.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna read some of the comments, and then we can move on to the questions. Also, Greg says also stuff was built back in the day and is a super unique and is well made. That's why I'm into history. That's fair enough. Hello, Kevin, and 7 out of 10 of the stuff anyway. So, yeah. So the next question I have for you is that how do you research? So how do you do your what's the behind the scenes? So how do you do everything there?
Yeah. Well, first I need to figure out what went on during a week. This is where I have a book called Civil War Day by Day,
Mm-hmm.
which I have been shamelessly copying a lot from Wikipedia. I use to know what to further delve into. Then there's just general knowledge from what people tell me on this day. I know tells me stuff. I also use the National Park Service quite a bit. So once I figure out what I need to research, from there I can go figure out further things like that. But also there's these just online sources at AmericanCivilWar.com that tell me like on this day a letter was sent from Major General McClellan to Lincoln, and here's what it said. And I use
Right.
a lot of those to spice things up.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, a lot of it goes down to books, online sources.
Sources, right?
Yeah.
That's all right. That sounds that is pretty great. I mean, I almost I do the same thing. I write my own script on some things. You know what I mean? I that's what I do. Back then, when if you see my first cringy videos, right? I used to read from a magazine or something like that and just shout the information out there. But now I just do my own things. So yeah, that is fair. Pretty fair and a good amount of research. So let me see what else. Let me see what else. Let me go to your channel real quick. Let me see what else. What you got here, and I'll just show everybody your channel, and then we're gonna give you more questions here and there. Hold on, let me see. Let me see if I can share. There we go. Share screens. There we go. Alrighty. And then, so this is your channel right here. like again, you have almost thousands of subscribers. Like I said, congrats. And like I said, this is his channel, guys. You should go and subscribe. I think it's one of the, in my opinion, I think it's really a really good Civil War channel if you want to know what happened 150 years ago from now. So this is his channel, and you should go into and subscribe it, and we should talk from there. We should go from there. So I think I have another question. So do you like in the future? How do I say it? Like in the future, like you want to be like a teacher or something, or you just want to do it in that field?
Um, History and teaching is a great profession. My mom went into education, but and I would be honored for. I'm actually truly honored that people listen to me babble on about this stuff. I've always fancied myself a politician. I've been working on my lying skills, but
Right,
I would love to go into the political field. I'm not entirely sure how successful I'll be in it, but
right,
if if my plans to become dictator of the world fail, yeah, I would love to be a teacher.
right, right. I mean, I tried it too and didn't really, well, not in the political field, but I tried to be a history teacher because I wanted to be something like that. It's how things work just didn't really work out for me, and I was like, screw this, you know what I mean? Because of in my opinion, I think our education system here in the U.S. kind of sucks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would not disagree with that statement. I
Yeah.
I have heard horror stories from my mom about the standardized testing and especially. I think if there's been one thing cursed more in my family than anything, it's just school boards and non people in the education field talking about and controlling it, which is a little bit ironic since I have no degree in anything and I'm talking about history, but we don't need to go through that.
Right, 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 right. I mean, anybody could just study history. I mean, it's a really good, very interesting subject. You know what I mean? I've been collecting history. I've been talking about history since I think I was 8 years old. So 8 or 7 years old, somewhere around there. So and people need to understand it's a very important thing to understand how the world works to this day. You know what I mean? And I think that's what people should get really should get into. As a matter of fact, another question is: do you have like Civil War artifacts yourself, or?
Um, I do. I have a sword that is I have a German officer sword, which is from the Civil War. I think that's about it. I of course have my costume, and that's a reproduction. I have a bunch of reproduction stuff. Like I have pretty much all of the kit to be a reenactor, except
Oh,
the
you want to be a reenactor?
no I mean I've done reenacting technically,
Oh, okay.
but it was very nonchalant. It was a summer camp that I went to, and we did reenacting at the very end, and I loved it, but it's a very expensive thing to do.
It very is. I want to do it myself, and it's very expensive. You got to buy like almost everything. Like you have to buy um I think like the most accurate stuff as possible. I was like that's like the point of reenacting. You have to buy almost every gear that the Civil War soldier had, and very expensive thing. I was thinking because I'm from New Jersey, and most of the Revolutionary War battles here, um most of the um most of the American Revolutionary battles were fought here. You know what I mean? American Revolutionary War history. I think you do. And I was thinking about joining being a reenactor there too, but the muskets are very expensive. The muskets are like over $1,000, and that's really how much of it. Like if you want to purchase that, and all the uniforms. Because I was talking to a reenactor how to do it, and oh boy, I was like, I'm not gonna get into this. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I'm not doing that today. So it's a fair fair point. And you said you wanted to also talk about small history YouTubers, correct?
Yeah.
All right. Um, I do know a couple of them. Most of them I do sub are very big, you know, and most of them are very. Most of them I subscribe to are very big. I found you recently. You when you had like I think like 400 subscribers.
Yeah, you definitely found me when I was a wee little channel, and
Yeah.
you were a behemoth, and your support meant a lot.
Yeah, I mean, no problem, man. That's why I want to. My mission was to find small YouTube channels, find small YouTube channels. That's how. I'm not sure if you know Micah History. You know him?
Yes.
Yeah, I know him for I subscribed him when he had like 400, 500 subscribers. I think he's getting pretty big now. I don't remember how much the subscriber count he has, and you know, I was like, this guy makes really good videos. I loved his video when he talked about the history of Australia, like the entire history of it. And I was like, this guy definitely needs more views. This guy definitely needs more views. This guy definitely needs more. So and there's a lot of other small history YouTubers that's out there. I don't know. There's still that I don't know yet. You know what I mean? And if I find more, I would definitely would shout them out. So that's why I got you here today, and I'm glad that you went to my Discord server actually.
Yeah, it's been a great place to connect with other people who are interested in history and interested with sharing history. And
Right. So because at that time it was starting to get dead, and I was like, I was actually. You should see my reaction when you came in. When you should see my reaction. Oh my God, Civil War week by week is here. Oh my God, oh my God. You know what I mean? I was so happy that you came in, and I'm glad that you're there. Um, so. But yeah, man, and I need to take a look at Field Marshal's channel too. I haven't really took a look into his channel, and you're friends with him. He's your friend, and I think I should take a look at his channel and take a look from there, and also give him a shout out too. So let me see what gets in the comments there. Howdy, a couple one. Hello, nice suit, Troy. Thank you. Sometimes Greg says when it comes to reenacting, sometimes it's not worth getting into just because of the cost. Yeah, I think in my opinion, I'm going to tell my opinion about it. I think it's worth getting into if you can afford it. If you can afford most of the stuff. But yeah, I agree. I agree right there with you, Greg. When it gets to other stuff. So let me see if I can find some other questions to talk about here, because I know this is getting short. And this is why I have Greg on my stream, so he has more stuff in there too. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And I don't want to keep it a little short. I know you're an interesting person, Jonathan, and I want to have more, obviously, more questions about here. And let me see. Okay, thanks, Chase. Thank you, Chase, for putting it there. Let me see if I can find more questions that we can actually have, and I don't want to cut this short. You know what I mean? Let me see. No questions, just their ask. And sometimes, I'm not a very big channel, so I don't have overflowing, questions. So let me see if I can. Let me look into the Discord channel, see if there's anything. No, not there. Oh, I have one. So once everything completed, right? Do you have like a plan to, like, if you complete the whole entire Civil War, right? Do you have like a plan what you're going to talk about next?
yeah. Well, once I complete my series, I'm probably going to go outside and find a life. But then also, the American Civil War. I alluded to this earlier. This was something new to me. This was a new topic challenge for me, and before I did this, I had to read a bunch of books and watch Ken Burns like 5 times. So I might
Right.
go on and talk about some stuff I'm more knowledgeable in. the Arab-Israeli conflict if I'm not too scared about what the comment sections will be. Maybe some stuff regarding there was the recent Nagorno-Karabakh conflict between Armenia and Azerbaijan, and I definitely have a couple opinions on that, which I'm sure we'll be taking greatly. But there's actually been a series I've been planning and writing scripts for my free time because I am a nerd about the philosophy of history and the different ways you can look at it.
Okay. And now, what war was that? I never heard of it, to be honest with you. When was this? Maybe you can teach me something here.
The Armenian-Azerbaijan conflict?
Yeah.
There was the recent one in 2020, which
yeah.
But it's been going on, some might say, since the 1918s when they fought each other right after the Russian Revolution that brought in the Bolsheviks. And then during that time, they actually were both conquered by the Soviet Union. And afterwards, immediately, they started fighting over this territory that was historically one way, culturally the other. It was a political mishmash, and they fought a war. And Armenia pretty much won.
Right.
Every now and then, I joked and say like every 2 years they fought a minor conflict where like a town would change hands.
Mm-hmm.
They did in 2016 and 2018, and in I don't know. I think it was in July of 2020 they fought again, and I pretty much thought to myself, this seems a little bit smaller than usual. I was kind of expecting something bigger, which is a terrible thing to think. I wanted more war. But in September, they started all over again, and Azerbaijan won pretty much.
I remember.
It took a lot of the territory. And I found that very interesting in the political ramifications and also how they did it, their innovative use of drone warfare.
Right.
Like, I probably did not pay attention in class, just reading the Wikipedia articles for that stuff as it was ongoing.
Right.
It's just the kind of... It's weird. I've always loved border conflicts. Like, the Troubles fascinates me.
Troubles? Yeah. Irish Troubles?
Yeah. Kashmir, Armenia, Azerbaijan. I would say Israeli-Palestine is a little bit more than a border conflict.
Israel and Palestine, yeah.
Yeah, Cyprus, Northern Cyprus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I might cover a little bit more of the border conflicts that
like more of like a border conflict there.
Yeah.
Here's one that was very interesting too about the Japan and the Soviet Union in 1937 with the border conflict in Mongolia.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about making a video about that because I think it needs to talk about because that actually takes like a huge impact in Japan. You know, they were like, you know what? Is it worth it going to the war with the Soviet Union? And they were like a non-aggression pact. Was out there, if I can remember it correctly. And they didn't want to go to war with the Soviet Union ever. And I would like to talk about that border conflict there until Soviets invade Manchuria and stuff like that. And border conflict seems like a good topic to talk about. And you said it's about the comments. I mean, it's part of being a YouTuber. I mean, you get negative comments on the side, but you also get positive. It's part of it, man.
Yeah.
That's just how YouTube is too, and I'm worried about that too. When I came into the first, when I came to the history community and side of things, I was like, oh man, I wonder what I did get a couple of criticisms. People were criticizing me, which it's fine. You can actually talk about what is wrong with my video, and maybe I can fix it a bit. I do post history both on Instagram and here on YouTube. I did have people were criticizing me, just a personal story too. How my grandfather, met Miss West because he did met a lot of people, which is fine. I even said that if you don't believe the story, it's totally fine. Some of it does sound very ridiculous. So that's why even when I make a history video too, I say I'll accept it. You know what I mean? I can see what you're trying to point out and try to help me out to what I'm doing wrong in that particular like video. And I think I had another criticism in the Iranian Revolution too. I'm not sure if it was about the Iranian No, I think it was my D-Day video of how, I'm not sure if you watched that too, of how that I explained like what was the outcome of it and why they planned it, you know, and why and how. I think, and I explained the before and after, like why they planned it and why did they, and then what happens after it and how D-Day changed the outcome of the war in you know, in Western Europe, and you know, stuff like that. And I did have Chris. I don't remember what he said, but I did have a little bit of criticism in there too. So it's part of the history field in here, and you know, especially when you're making these types of videos, you know, the history field, and you know, stuff like that. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah, I remember on my first video, and I don't even know if the person who gave this comment is still watching me, but if they are, I would just like to thank them. On my first video, they gave me a list of criticism. They're like, the way I had my camera, I had it so it was facing and there was a window and sunlight. It just,
right.
looking back, it looked awful, but it amazed me that someone was willing and cared enough about my idea where they're like, this is what you should do. And just the fact they wrote it out, that meant the world to me. And at that, once they wrote that, there was no doubt in my mind, oh, I'm going to make a second one of these. I think,
Right.
and I mean, every time someone says, oh, you're speaking too quickly, you're speaking too slowly, sometimes in the same comment section, there's just a Google Doc I have of every criticism. And I always try, and next to them, I also write in a table, like, how did I have criticism, solution, and then what I do. And I mean,
Right.
I'm not a professional. I have no idea how to make videos. I'm not a professional historian. I'm not a professional storyteller. And
Yeah. Mostly all of us. You know.
yeah, but these people, I mean, people know what they like and they know what they don't like. And
Right.
just, if people say it in a kind way, it means you care and
Means you care. Right. Right.
that means the stuff. I mean, there's also, I got comments that I have to delete for reasons of anti-Semitism, racism,
Right.
the
Racism.
whole hodgepodge of YouTube. But I mean, I just want to clarify. If you say, hey, Jonathan, why do you keep on saying this word over and over? You're relying too much on it. I will take note and I will do my best. It means that you watched my video enough and you noticed. And that does mean a lot to me.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, as long as as long as somebody says it really and nice. That's why I said about it. You know what I mean? I'm not sure if you saw my update video, but I said that if you said nice in a kind way, then I will try to see what I can do and fix it. I don't mind you. I don't mind people criticizing my content. I really don't. But if you're just saying it in a nice, kind way, then yeah, I'll do it. You know, some people tell me that I need to do better stuff. I mean, my wording was terrible on, like, if you look at my earlier videos, I really can't pronounce. I mean, now I use Google when I read something on my script. I use a Google Translate, right, and see how I can pronounce this word better. You know what I mean? Compared to, like, when I stop in the middle of the video, I say sorry for the pronunciation for this or this or this and this and that. You know what I mean? I always try to think the of I try to think of look of a way to say it. You know, if you know what I mean. If you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So so I always try to try to say it, because right now I'm working on a major restoration. I'm still working on it. It's almost done. I'm still working on it. It's just it's just the names that's in Japanese. I cannot I cannot pronounce. So I use Google Translate for that, of how to say this word correctly. Instead of saying okay, I'm sorry about this. I cannot pronounce this. You know what I mean? So at least I try my best on that. And I do have like a speech problem, so I will say things again I will say, for example, this happened here, here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Instead of this happened here. You know. So I do have like some sort of like a speech problem that I can't really help, and I try to tell my viewers that.
Yeah, I have no idea how you're going to do it. I've learned one thing from my series, it's I suck at English, apparently. I thought it was my first language, but I cannot pronounce some of these names. And looking back on them, I'm like, how could you do it? And then I see the words pop up again on my teleprompter, and I'm like, oh, you're going to mess this up. So the fact you can pronounce names in Japanese, I have no idea how you do it. I'm
Yeah.
amazed.
I mean, I know how to speak it, but I use like, so what I use is like I go to Google Translate, right?
Yeah.
I type up the name, you know what I mean? Like the Japanese samurai, hope I pronounce this right, but Oinabunga, I think that's his name, or something like that. And you know, he was one of the unifiers, like during the Edo period. He was one of the unifiers that unified Japan, and I think he was one of the unifiers of Japan. I didn't know. I don't think he's the guy that he unified Japan and invade Korea. I think that was someone before, someone after him. I don't really remember again, on top of my head, of course. Um, I go to Google Translate. I type up his name and try to hear it in English what it's saying, and I put it in Japanese, you know, English to Japanese, and I try to pronounce the word in English, and I try to pronounce the word in Japanese, even though Google Translate's not the best sort for language, you know what I mean? Because it just, I mean, I got some Japanese antiques. I wonder what they say, and Google Translate gives me a bunch of crap that I can guarantee you that it doesn't even says that, you know, you know what I mean? So, but by pronouncing stuff, I think it helps me very great. You know, um, I did so. That's how I pronounce like foreign, sometimes English words I can't even pronounce, not just some foreign word names there. He says the copper one says that the knowledge of history sometimes supersedes your own language.
Oh yeah, definitely. Actually, not even the knowledge of it. I've gotten caught up on like math terms. There's this math term, phenomenal, or I don't even know how to pronounce it still. And oh my god, I don't even. There's gonna be just be one time where I'm gonna be like Joanne, and they're like it's pronounced John, and at that point I'm just gonna stay in my house forever because, again, I've been speaking this language for quite some time, but I can't seem to nail it yet.
Nail it, yeah, yeah. Same thing with me. I always say when I stutter sometimes, I always say, "Man, English is such a hard language. It really is." So
And then I try to learn a different language, and I'm like, oh, English is good. I've I've been through so
yeah,
many languages in my life, and none of them have stuck.
right. Common denominators. What do you
Oh,
mean, Greg? What do you mean, Greg, by that?
he's referring to the math term I was using.
Oh, the math term that you're using. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not really a math. I'm not really a math guy too myself. Um, every time, I mean, obviously I know the basics, but like when I learn about other stuff like this, sometimes, you know, algebra, so like at least some parts of it, and all the way to the far, like calculus and all that. I remember learning calculus in freaking college, and most of the stuff is like a foreign language to me. I didn't understand what it was. So, you know, I'm very crap at it too. So, you know, I mean, everybody has a very specialty, and I guess, you know, I mean, unless if you're an engineer, you would need something like that. But you know, um, but besides that, engineer or scientist. But besides that, I feel like I don't really need it.
Yeah, no, to me, math and science have always been a little bit impersonal. If I got into history, it's my imagination.
Right.
I could picture myself in the trenches. It's very personal, you can. I mean, I hope I can get that across. That these are like stories I get to tell, and to me,
Right.
that's a lot easier to connect with than
Yeah, that's
science.
right. Then science. Yeah, right. Because it's like it's pretty much history. It's stories. You know what I mean? And if you hear those stories and they pretty much get into your head and compared to numbers, on your head. I mean, that's just how I roll. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? That's why I like history or sometimes English class too because it's a little easy. It's mostly just stories and it's very easy to remember than numbers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So and not just that, but it's personally I'm connected to it. You know I told you recently my grandfather he passed away. And I'm not sure if you saw my update video of why I haven't really why it's been gone on YouTube. Why I haven't made a YouTube video, a history YouTube video for a very long time. You know what I mean? Because I want people, because people are looking for my content. People are like, hey Troy, when are you gonna make another history video? Stuff like that. And I'm not what to sure to tell them. You know what I mean? Because I was sad at the same time because it's like obviously no one in my family was really interested in the history and they're throwing away most of his stuff. I did manage to save a couple stuff that was his and stuff that they just don't know that my grandfather had told them. So at least I'm proud of I'm proud of that. Um, and people say that I don't know them. I don't know the people that's behind these black and white photographs that my grandfather had saved, and I was like, and I'm like, you're right about that, but at the same time, I want to make sure, first of all, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be with my grandfather, teaching me all this type of stuff. I wouldn't make this channel. I wouldn't be the man who I am today. You know what I mean? And that's another thing that my family don't understand is that I think without my grandfather being into my life, I wouldn't be the person who I am today, and especially his ancestors to go down with it. That's why I like family history too, and researching my own family history. And I'm looking at this, and I'm like, I'm proud that they do exist, even though I don't know the picture, I don't know the people in this black and white photograph that I have, and it's right next to me, this picture, and you know, I'm still happy that they existed and their existence came to my grandmother marrying my grandfather you know and I'm here with him and he's teaching me all these types of things and I'm proud of that and I think the whole family should be proud of that because he was the one that helped them um, he was the one that helped them getting into American society because my family's not from the US. I'm not sure if you heard of Guyana. I think you do. It's in South America and my grandfather's the one that helped me get into American society. My grandfather was even nice enough when they were the other part of my family wanted to move because they lived in New York, and he realized. I guess I'm not sure why he wanted to move. I guess because it was too expensive. Because New York is really expensive if you want to live there, especially in Manhattan. You got to be filthy rich to live in Manhattan. But he lived in Brooklyn, and he wanted to move. And my grandfather was nice enough to purchase a house for him. That's how kind of the guy was, and I think without him and the people, the ancestors behind it, because my grandpa was married 3 times in his lifetime, I'm thinking that I wouldn't exist, and I'm proud of that. I'm proud of actually having that. So that's why I managed to save. And some things almost got thrown out. I had to dig out the trash to find out what is historically important for my family. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm really I'm very it's a very emotional thing and a very family personal thing. History, what for me is. So um so yeah, and I'm very proud of it to this day. You know what I mean? I'm not
Yeah.
sure if it was like for you, Jonathan. No, probably like you're interested in your family history, like digging on the background and stuff like that. Are you interested in that too, or
Yeah. The Tegan and Hen King was my grandmothers on my dad's side name. We don't know about them, but the other side of my family, every time I talk to my grandmother, when I have a new relative, pretty much. I have family that my family came to America fleeing the Nazis from Germany, and I'm not sure if you've ever seen the movie Inglourious Bastards.
Yep, I've heard of it.
My great grand uncle was part of a unit that was inspiration for that movie, so I'm very
Oh,
proud of that. I had family that were spies for America during that
right.
war. I had family that was fighting in the Soviet Red Army that war.
Oh,
And I have family that were translators because they came from Germany and all of that into it. And then my grandmother, or Oma as I call her, is you'll probably never hear her name, but she computerized all of the files for the FBI and patent
oh,
office
wow.
in the United States, and I'm very proud of that. And her actually, she isn't proud of that as much as she is proud. She never missed a day of school and got an award for it, and
Oh,
I
wow.
find that very cool.
I find
Though
that very cool. Yeah.
it does kind of prove how square my family is.
Right.
Yeah, I have actually a lot more. I have a lot of pride in city history. I don't want to dox myself too hard, but I live in St. Louis, and the city's kind of dying. I don't want to speak ill of it, but our population
Sure.
is going down. But there's so much history here. Not all of it good. In fact, maybe none of it good, but there's a lot here. Dred Scott, I hope to make a video about very soon. It's one of the few Civil War stuff that happened in St. Louis. We had our own car bombing campaign in the 1960s that went
Oh,
unsolved.
wow.
Yeah, we were ran by oligarchs for some time. So I have a lot of interest in that. I might be the closest thing St. Louis has to a tour guide at this point, but
Right.
yeah. So I connect a lot to the history of people I'm connected to and also the area where I'm connected to, because history, I mean, it shouldn't always, but it can be something to have pride in. You can be proud.
Right.
I mean, it's the same way you can have pride of accomplishments you have had, but also
Right.
like there's a reason why we celebrate July the 4th, and it isn't because of July 4th, 2020. It's July 4th, 1776, and we have
76. Right.
pride. And I dig into that, and sometimes, yeah, I do get carried away. Every time I watch Glory, I am very proud to be an
Yeah.
American, even though the ending was not us at our best, but just
Right.
the idea like, yes, we did this. We charged up the battlements. Every time I watch the movie Lincoln by Daniel Day-Lewis, I hear those speeches. I actually every July the 4th I do listening to someone saying the not the Gettysburg Address out loud,
Right.
and I find that stuff very moving and very engaging, and it definitely has constructed my love for the ideas of liberty, equality, and justice for all, and it does help with taking pride in what I'm.
Right. Oh yeah, it really does. Yeah, I mean, it really does. Makes me it does really help you to to be proud of yourself, and stuff like that. I mean, I'm just proud that my um my half black my black ancestry, even though I don't know too much on that side, even though I should know much on that side, it's just that my family just doesn't really talk about very much about their past. And I'm also part of the Jewish my white Jewish ancestry in there too. And sometimes when I when I look at stuff, I'm like, wow, I'm proud to be you know I, even though like I don't really follow the religion as much, but I'm like, it gets you that feeling. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I actually am religiously Jewish, not a lot. I have cheat weeks pretty much when it comes
Right.
to kosher, but definitely. you feel pride. It's the kind of thing where I feel happy when just a Jew wins an award. Like it could literally just be like Cheryl Goldstein from down the block won best cooking. I'm like, yes. We choose just
Right.
won the neighborhood cooking award, and it's just a little something because when you're part of the community, you put your you put your part of yourself into it, and when
Mhm.
someone from that community wins, almost kind of by osmosis, you're happy because
Right.
I mean, yeah, when Adam Sandler sings the song where he mentions all the famous people that are Jewish, I'm like, yes, I'm
Yes.
happy about that.
Right. Because yeah, I mean, I really, yeah, yeah. That really, really gives you just feel like pride. Actually, my grandmother's my grandfather's second wife, she was a historian too. That's why I have a lot of Jewish history books, behind me there, because I read a couple, and I think she participated making that. In my public library, we have a Holocaust Award that's there. So if you walk up the stairs, if you look up behind the gate, there's like a small little memorial there, and the people um, that escaped from the Nazis from here, and their ancestors died. Their family members died. During the Holocaust is named over there, and I think she participated putting that thing up. So I'm happy that that is there, and it really does. All right. Before he's looking very different today. Thank you, Hector. Um, So let me see if I got any other more stuff here, and because we don't really I don't really have. I mean, if you have questions for me, go ahead too, John. So even though I'm interviewing you, but if you have questions for me, go ahead.
Is there any topic you want to cover, but there you're just like waiting for something?
Oh, that's a good question. Um, I do want to cover the. It's just I do want to cover the most of the trying to think because I haven't really did a history video in a while, but I was due planning to cover the Spanish Civil War. The Spanish Civil War with Franco is just, but at the same time, I'm just waiting for it because it's kind of confusing. I don't I don't really get the political parts about it. You know what I mean? I think I know about the movements and stuff like that, but I just don't know the political parts on it of how Franco won. You know what I mean? So that's why it's like it's hold steady. You know what I mean? It's very interesting because I only know that one of the reasons why Franco won is because of how he got Spanish Moroccan soldiers there. Pretty much, he has colonial troops there. You know, and that's also another thing. And but the political parts about it, I don't know, and that's why I need to work on it. Especially, I also even got a request to talk about South Korea's dictator. I think his name is Park something, and I don't remember. But um, that needs to be a wait and a standstill because I need to research about him a little bit more. I don't know too much about. I don't know. I never heard that South Korea had a dictator. That was news to me. So that's why I have to do more studying. I do need more. Um, um, you need more research about this guy until I can make a full video on it. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So that's why these videos are in hold because there's some videos that are confusing to me that I need to learn more about it before I can proceed. I can proceed of um of what I can able to talk about, especially my newspapers here, they're on hold too as well, because I got so much that I do a special called newspapers, news history by newspapers, and I read the headlines of that day and when it happened and stuff like that. Um, I will purchase some old Civil War newspapers too of what happened during that time from from their own point of view. So, and I did part one of the May 19th, 1925 paper, what was going on at that time. Stuff that was happening in Ireland, and the 1925 tornado I was actually talking about, how it pretty much swept through the Midwest, and how everybody was, how the Red Cross was, treating everybody, and how much it cost them property damage. And I think I found another and a couple personal stories that were happening in that day. Most of the stuff I can't remember the top of my head, but let's see. May I add a voice or is there a specific? Not really today because I'm talking to Jonathan now. But if you want, Hector, if you want a question for Jonathan, please type it down. Sigmund Rhee, I believe. Sigmund Rhee? No, there was the other guy. Colton. That's his name. That's the other guy that he ran from in the 60s to the 70s. I forgot that guy's name, but Park something, and somebody wanted me to make a video about what happened?
Park Chung-hee?
Park Chung-hee. Yep, him. Yep, there we go. I wanted to make a video about him, and right now I don't know too much about him, so that's why it's on hold right now. But it's going to be a huge document. I mean, I'm progressing as how I go. I mean, I'm using. Wait 1 second, the phone's ringing.
I think Park Won-hee, Hector, is she was pretty recently. She was not impeached. I think the protest and she quit, but earlier, during the 60s and 40s and 50s, South Korea went through a wave of dictators and military coups.
Military coups.
Turkeyed.
Hold on, let me look this guy up real quick. Because that's the. Hold on, let me look at my. Let me look at my comments real quick, and because he commented that one guy requested. He commented in the. There was one guy that requested. I don't know. Don't know what video it was, but I think it was the. I think it was the Russo and Japanese war video that I've talked about. Nope, that's not it. It's somewhere in my one of my history videos. Somebody did request that, but so some of my history requested, but it's a female though. Now everybody's asking me, make me want to look up stuff. So,
yeah, Park. I know Park John-hee. I'm definitely butchering that. Was a leader from 2013 to 2017 before being impeached. But Park Chung-hee was 1962 to 1979.
Yep, that's the guy. Park Chung-hee. There we go. This guy. I'll give people the picture so we know what we're talking about here.
And I think Park Gwon-hee was his daughter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well,
that makes sense.
Using Wikipedia right now.
Yeah, I'm using Wikipedia too.
Yeah.
So okay, now I get it, because I have to make I want to make a video about him. I was like, well, when I first looked him up, I was like, this is interesting to make a biography of. So that's what I wanted to do, but I just don't know too much about him. I have to do a little bit of research of who this guy is, and maybe I can make a little video on it. And so I have a friend that actually would research this stuff for me. So so that's also another thing. But like I said, there's other things in history that we don't really know about. First of all, I'm very bad at ancient history. I gotta follow up on that too, on about the Romans and stuff like that. Right now, I'm learning more about African history because I'm reading this. Um, if I can get the book. Ah, there it is. I'm reading more about Haile Selassie's life. So this is the book I'm using right now.
Yeah.
It's written by the it's written by his assistant. There we go. And it's a pretty good book so far. I'm really talking. I just got started. I'm reading about his when he was a kid and his father was fought in the Battle of Adwa. How it beat the Italians in Ethiopia and more stuff. So I'm learning about modern and ancient African history as I go. And I also have an African history book by there. I'm not sure how super accurate it is because it's from the 60s. Because sometimes a lot of older history books do tend to get things wrong. Um, but um, but um, but I don't know. Hold on, Greg has a question. How much longer do you guys plan on going? Well, we're almost done. Yeah, we're almost done. Because this is like the only questions I have for you, Jonathan, right? Most of the questions I have. I mean, pretty much, we're here to talk about history, and I'm just shouting out your channel. And I did ask a couple of questions. I just don't know what some to ask. I mean, you enjoyed the stream, right? Correct?
Oh yeah, I would love to
Yeah.
do it again sometime if you're willing to risk having me again.
All right. I mean, we do. How about this? Like when we talk about like certain topics around history, because that's part of me and Greg of the podcast.
Mm.
Um, we can get you. We can just get you. When we talk about, I guess, when we talk about the Civil War and stuff like that,
Yeah,
we can get you in and we'll talk about it.
yeah,
Um, Especially Chase. Chase is starting to become a Civil War buff too himself. And we can bring him over too. And so it depends. You know what I mean? So what we're talking about, because we talk about whatever. Because I think the next episode is gonna be I think it's architecture of like the history of architecture. So that's like more of a Greg thing, or I can bring a good friend Andrew about it. He's more into it that too. You know what I mean? So we'll
yeah.
talk more about.
I'd
Go
be
ahead.
so useless there. Architecture and art history, as I know
Oh,
nothing about it pretty much.
yeah, yeah. So that's why that's what we that's what we're gonna talk about. But when we talk about the American Civil War and pretty much American history in general, I would bring you up,
Mm.
you know, and we can we can do that from there. Now, do you guys have any final questions about Johnson? I don't want to keep them there waiting them long. Keep waiting here. And John, do you have any more questions for me, or that's pretty much about it?
um, I have nothing, I guess.
Yeah. So Greg says more styles than architecture. Yeah. Well, let's be honest, Greg. You love architect. Come on, man. Come on. So I mean, all right then. So I guess this is gonna be it. So we're like an hour, like a good hour stream slash interview because I didn't really ask you much questions, even though because I didn't know what to ask. You know, I think, like I said, if Greg was here, it would be a little bit longer.
Mm.
But you know. but he has stuff to do, so yes, he's a busy guy, so we all, I mean, we all get things to do, right?
He has to eat and drink and live his life. Ugh.
Yeah, yeah, we gotta live your life. So, uh, I don't. You see him in the comments.
Yeah.
Uh, so, so it was nice to meet you, Jonathan. It was nice to meet you and talk about your channel. Like I said, go and subscribe to his channel if you're interested of his work and what he's doing. I think he's a very, very great one of the history YouTubers, very small, very history YouTubers, and um, very, very great. Very, if you want to learn more every week about it of 150 years ago that this happened, I think you should take a look at his channel. And um, yeah. So, all right. So this is the end of the stream, and hope you guys have a nice day and take care, everyone. Didn't end it.